What's up, motherfuckers? It's going to be a late night video tonight. I did not get a chance to watch Raw yet because I was trapped in a situation. Well, trapped is not the right word because it wasn't like a bad situation or anything like that. It just, I couldn't leave this place that I was at, so I didn't get a chance to watch Raw. I went out and I thought I'd be back by like 10 so I could watch Raw because I skipped the commercials and the entrances and bullshit like that. Or maybe 9:30, and I didn't get back until like 10 minutes ago. So I've been working all day. So I figured I could either watch Raw right now and do a video by like 4 a.m., which I still might do because even though I've been working all day, I'm not tired at all. Or I could do another video to tide the peoples over, you know, the people that are waiting patiently for that new hater video to drop. You know what I'm saying? Coming to Spotify up in this bitch one day. So we have a very innovative video. We have another 25 reasons up in this bitch. I think people are going to like this one. Because recently I did a video called 25 Reasons Why AEW Sucks. There's going to be a part 2 of that coming soon. I already have way more than 25 reasons in my head. But it's just like every week there's more reasons, you know? Like butchering the blade right there is a reason like all on its own. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I got to say about that. But for now, I figured we'll do something a little bit different up in this piece. We're going to do a video about 25 reasons why AEW fans, motherfuckers, suck ass. All right? Without any further ado, let's get to it, motherfuckers. All right. Reason number 1 why AEW fans fucking suck, motherfuckers. As you will see, all these reasons are well thought out. Reason 1, the Vince crying and Cody laughing memes. All right, I'm sure everyone knows what I'm talking about. It's a side-by-side picture of Vince McMahon crying and Cody laughing. This meme is used by AEW beards to just explain, basically, you know, situations that they think benefit AEW but suck for WWE. So something like, I remember one of my friends was telling me months ago, he was like, ooh, he's like, AEW did something that Vince is not going to like. He actually said this to me in real life, motherfuckers. He didn't text it to me. He said it to me in real life. I was like, well, what happened? He was like, AEW signed Tully Blanchard. And I looked at him and I was like, who the fuck cares? If you put 10 old men in front of me and you say, one of these guys is Tully Blanchard, before he was in AEW, I'd be like, I don't know who the fuck he is. And I actually saw him in real life when I met Ric Flair. He had Tully Blanchard there with him, probably to get to carry his bags or something, you know what I'm saying? So he was like, oh, Tully Blanchard signed by AEW, Vince crying and AEW laughing. As if WWE wanted to sign Tully Blanchard, they'd pay him his $30 a day appearance fee, and they would just sign him for no reason, have him job to I don't know, AOP or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I gotta say about that. Those memes need to go away immediately. And they've gone way overboard because they do it for everything. You know, they're like, oh, AEW got one more viewer that's under 13 on a random Tuesday night. Vince crying, Cody laughing. And the implications are that, somehow the implications are that Vince McMahon and Cody are on the same level. You know what I mean? As if Vince is out there carefully watching what Stardust is doing to with his jobber company, you know? So I don't like that at all. They need to stop those immediately. They're not funny. They're just cringy as shit. Which brings us to reason number 2, motherfuckers. 2, almost all AEW fans are fat. All right? Now, there's nothing wrong with being fat. I've put on some weight recently, but I'm going to hit the gym and I'm going to get rid of it like I've done in the past. Nothing wrong with being fat whatsoever, man. We love people of all shapes, sizes, races, religions, anything here in the Hater channel, which is ironic because my name is The Hater, but you get what I'm saying. But they're almost all fat, and they're not the kind of fat that's like, oh, I gained a little bit of weight here. They're the kind of fat that, you know, you get to a point where it becomes because you have no productivity. It's not like, oh, you got an injury and you gain a few pounds. These people are 700 pounds on average probably, you know? So that's what I got to say about that. I don't like it. Reason 3, almost all AEW fans are neckbeards, motherfucker. And the ones that are not males are leg beards. So same thing. The leg beard is the female neck beard. A girl that doesn't shave her legs probably is about 600 pounds, takes a women's studies class. And I've seen a lot of these girls in undergrad, motherfuckers. I took some women's studies classes. You know, a lot of these broads, and then They have like blue or pink hair, and they probably like Dean Ambrose, you know what I'm saying? Or Jeff Hardy, you know what I'm talking about. And now probably they're all like Darby Allin. That's the kind of people they like. They don't like Batista, who, by the way, is in the Hall of Fame, motherfuckers. Deal with it. Let's see if Dean Ambrose ever gets to the Hall of Fame. Anyways, reason number 4. Almost all AEW fans are virgins, motherfuckers. That's right. Now, again, nothing wrong if you're a virgin, especially if you're a young person. Nothing wrong at all, man. Some people want to wait until they find someone they love. Nothing wrong with that. When I was younger, when I was like 12, I thought to myself, I'm going to wait until I find someone that I love. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are thinking, the hater, you're probably still a virgin. I know that's what my haters are thinking. But I can assure you, motherfuckers, I have banged a lot of women, and I always thought that I would only bang one when I was younger. So nothing wrong with being a virgin. But there is something wrong with being like the white knight, neckbeard, AEW fan kind of virgin. The kind of guy that's like, oh, like, I wouldn't treat you like that. Your boyfriend who's like a normal person, like, he likes WWE probably, but I like AEW. I know how to treat women. You know what I mean? Like, he's one of those assholes. So that's why I don't like them for that reason, motherfucks. All right, reason 5. Here we start getting to the substantive reasons. Now, reason 1, the meme thing, was a real reason. The other 3 reasons are just personal almost. It's like I look at them like they suck, But reason 5 is where we start getting into the real meat of the issue here, guys. Reason 5. AEW fans are the real sheep of wrestling fans, yet they pretend that the rest of us are the idiots, the sheep, if you will, right? So an AEW fan will say something like, you don't like Nakazawa? Well, I guess you don't understand wrestling then. And I'm like, dude, any kind of critical thinking would lead you to one conclusion. And that is, if you like, let's say, Orange Cassidy, there's something wrong with you, man. You're just a weird person. You're obviously someone that's never been cool in your life. And now you're like, well, they present this as cool, so I'm going to pretend it is. No, if you met someone like Orange Cassidy in your life, you'd be like, get away from me, weird fuck. You understand what I'm saying? So that's a big reason for me. The fact that they're the sheep and they pretend that we're the idiots. You know what I mean? It's kind of like in politics. You have one group who just thinks they're superior to the other group, and they just bury them completely. And they're like, oh, like, if you had any idea on like how things should run, you would do this and that and this and that. And you're like, man, leave me alone. Like, just go enjoy your My Little Pony or whatever it is that you enjoyed, neckbeard. So anyways, that's that reason. Reason number 6. They refuse to say that AEW sucks at anything. Like, I'm not this WWE fanboy. I know I come off like that once in a while because I like the things that traditionally are considered good, or at least were considered good. Like, I like John Cena. I never really liked Batista when I was younger, but recently I've started to appreciate, in hindsight, what Batista was. Like, a serious wrestler, decent in the ring, like, considering what he was, and just charismatic in his own way, So I know I seem like that, sometimes, but back in the day, I was a big TNA guy. I did not like WWE. I didn't like the direction they were going. I really liked TNA, Kurt Angle, AJ Styles, the people that I really liked were all in TNA, basically, right? Daniels, even Samoa Joe at one point, But the AEW fans, like, you can present anything to them in AEW. Like, you can present Tyedillenger and Tully Blanchard, like, the 4th most important guy, right, in the Horsemen, which were not a balanced stable. It's not like saying, like, oh, Randy Orton, let's say, or Batista was the 4th most important guy in Evolution. Yeah, but Evolution was like, they were all world champions, Tully Blanchard was and has always been a complete nobody, He's already been surpassed by his daughter, who's beating up, like, Batista-level dudes anyways. That's neither here nor there. The point is, they refuse to say that AEW sucks at anything. A perfect example of this, and this is a reason down the list, a perfect example of this is the key demographic. Oh, well, despite the fact that NXT completely crushed AEW, they didn't win the key demographic of neckbeards. So, like, it doesn't really count. Just accept it, man. AEW dropped the ball. They've been subpar since like week 3. Like, trust me, when AEW was announced, I was excited. I was genuinely excited because I was looking forward to see what they were going to do, what their identity was going to become. But before I delve too deep into that, let's move on because that's another reason in and of itself. I believe I wrote it down here somewhere. Number 7, they defend things like Riho and Marco Stunt. And Riho and Marco Stunt completely suck. You understand what I'm saying? I think Marco Stunt might even be smaller than Riho, who's at most 85 pounds. Anyways, it is what it is. I could probably just, like, curl Riho with, like, almost one arm. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, so definitely with 2 arms, I can tell you that. So anyways, let's get to reason Number 8. They think that WWE is hurting because they did not treat CodyRhodes correctly. These neckbeards really believe in their heart of hearts that CodyRhodes was this sort of like big missed opportunity, you know, like this guy could have been the star that pushed WWE to the next level. No, motherfuckers, he wasn't. And he is not going to be the star that pushes AEW anywhere other than straight to Pop Network or America TV or whatever the fuck TNA is on now, you know? They're going to go, like, before you know it, the narrative will shift. And it won't be the Wednesday Night Wars. It'll be the Thursday Night Wars. Who sucks more, AEW or TNA, motherfuckers, before they end up on just like YouTube or something, you know? So anyways, they defend all that bullshit, and they really do believe that CodyRhodes is this big missed opportunity. Every time someone leaves WWE, they're treated as if they're this big missed opportunity. Oh, WWE didn't know what to do with Tyedillenger. They didn't know what to do with Sandow. They didn't know what to do with Juice Robinson. Really? Do you really think that's it? Do you really think that WWE didn't know what to do with these jobbers? What about someone, like, I always bring him up, but I have to do it again. What about someone like Eric Young, who, if Eric Young was given the opportunity, he would be, in my opinion, a great mid-carder because he can do everything. He can be a serious guy. He can do comedy. He's great in the ring. He's good on the mic. He's got an interesting voice, an interesting look now, tattoos and everything, and an interesting gimmick when he was like the world-class maniac, or Sanity, which was an extension of that. Like, the pop that he got when he debuted on NXT was insane. Not with Sanity, but when he debuted to like fight Samoa Joe. You know, they should have given him an opportunity. But no, you're right. They don't know what to do with people like Juice Robinson, so, you know, or Trent Beretta, let alone a jobber like Eric Young or a jobber like, I don't know, fucking Nakamura or something like that, right? Anyways, motherfuckers, you get what I'm saying. Number 10. We alluded to this a little bit, motherfuckers. They believe, or sorry, we're number 9, aren't we? There we are. All right, yeah. Number 9. They are too dumb to realize that AEW is just WWE with a significantly lower production quality, motherfuckers. Do you understand me? All right, so AEW's production quality is relatively good. I'm not gonna lie, right? Like, the reason why they're not completely out of TV yet is because they have good production value and they're on a good network. That's it. Everything else is garbage. You understand what I'm saying? So they do not understand that WWE is the blueprint that AEW is following super closely. If you don't see it by now, then you must be blind. CodyRhodes is trying to be a mixture of Ric Flair and Triple H. Jericho is just the same Jericho that he always was. You know, he can wear a hat and, like, instead of a scarf or something like that, and he can sell champagne instead of t-shirts now, but it doesn't matter. It's the same fucking shit. Jericho is doing the same thing for him. This is a cash grab, right? He was on like the Bully Ray podcast or whatever the fuck Bully Ray has a show, and he explained, and anyone that's smart understands what he's saying. Basically, he said that chances are that AEW will never compete with WWE, but if they do, then Jericho is established as the greatest thing in wrestling ever, right? In the 0.001% chance, Jericho comes off looking like better than Vince McMahon, right? And in the process, as AEW will inevitably fail, right? Jericho makes a lot of money. This was the best deal he ever gotten. They're letting him sell champagne. You know what I mean? So that's what Jericho's purpose is there. But insofar as what he's doing the same things that he did in WWE. He had his matches with Kenny Omega, and those were like big deals because, you know, they were like one-offs, right? But nobody wants to see him versus Jungle Boy. As you will see, as I will predict, the ratings will continue to go down. They'll have a little spice here and there, but the trend will be going down. Furthermore, I'm sure we're going to talk about this in a little bit later, but there are many other ways that AEW has completely copied WWE. Not limited to, but including Dean Ambrose, who is the exact same thing as Jon Moxley. I've been saying it forever, and I've said it first, motherfuckers. I don't care if anybody else says it. I said it first. They're the same exact thing. I said it day one. People are like, oh, Jon Moxley appeared. And I'm like, Dean Ambrose? Like, no. Jon Moxley's different. I'm like, he's the same fucking thing. He's just this guy who like acts like he's a tough guy, acts like he's cool, and he's neither of those two in my opinion. I mean, I'm sure he has a high tolerance for pain, but it is what it is. Like, this idea that like that Jon Moxley was unsatisfied in WWE, and you really think that he's more satisfied in AEW? Like, do you really believe that he is more content with his career in AEW? Maybe if they pay him more and he wrestles like less, that's the only reason. Otherwise, who gives a shit? And that's a big problem with AEW, by the way. The wrestlers don't wrestle enough. It's as simple as that. You know? And then, like, when Darby Allin gets injured, they're like, oh, forget about this guy. We'll just won't even mention it. No, fam. I don't like that either, but that's neither here nor there. We're talking about the fans right now, motherfuckers. So, reason number 10. They believe in the key demographic, motherfucker. We talked about this. They believe that for some reason, if your viewers are from a specific demographic, right, this means your show is a success. Now, this has to do with targeted advertising, right? So a lot of the ads that you're going to see during AEW cater to that demographic. So the premise is, if this demographic watches, right, the show is doing a good job because the ads are being seen by the correct viewers. But what they don't realize is that this is a very, very specific subset, a very niche subset of the whatever 18 to 48 demographic, whatever the fuck it is, that demographic. This is the neckbeard subset of that demographic. These people are not going to buy things like razors. You know, if you're advertising razors, like on AEW, no one's buying razors. These people have neck beards. You understand me? So that's what I'm saying. This is a meaningless victory. The only thing that matters is how many people are you bringing in? Because in the long run, let's say for 3 years, right? NXT brings in 1 million and AEW brings in 900,000. But they keep winning that key demographic. What's going to happen? The advertising is going to change, and AEW will change. NXT and USA Network will change their demographic to one, right, that caters to the demographic they're attracting. So it will become meaningless eventually anyways. But we won't even have to worry about that because 3 years is a long time. It's not gonna take that long for WWE to win all the demographics eventually. So that's neither here nor there, but let's move on. You know, when like next time WWE signs someone big, you know, there's no one to sign now, but once they sign someone big, it's a wrap, you know? They put that guy in NXT, it's a big deal. If they want to, just bring in John Cena for an NXT match, problem solved. Make him NXT champion, problem solved. AEW's out of business. So this idea of like WWE is like counter-programming. If they wanted to counter-program, put Roman Reigns in NXT, he's gonna draw like way more than 1 million views, and that'd be it. It'd be the end. You know what I'm saying? So don't worry about that. That's another thing, though. We'll talk about that later. Well, I'm all over the place because all these things overlap very well. Now, let's move on to reason 11. They are as cringy, if not more so, than the Cena fans were before everyone turned on Cena in like 2006 or 7 or whatever the fuck it was, right? I remember one time I was on YouTube and some guy had said something like, the chain gang sucks. Cena was doing his like the chain gang thing, right, at the time. And some little kid was like, you could say what you want about me, but never disrespect chain gang. This is exactly how these AEW fans start. Oh, my Cody, you can say what you want about me, but leave Cody out of this. Leave MJF out of this. Oh, I'm Darby Allin. I dress like him sometimes, even though I'm like 7 times his size. It's that kind of bullshit, that kind of cringe factor of this like taking it too seriously. Like, I can only assume that the chain gang defender was a kid. You know, he was like, oh, I like the chain gang. Don't say anything about them. You can make fun of me, not the chain gang. How about stand up for yourselves normally? Just say like, don't make fun of anything. But that's not what they do. They're like, oh, yeah, don't leave this alone. You don't understand wrestling, man. Cringy bastards. Anyways, reason number 12. They plan on paying $59.99, woo, to watch Bash at the Beach. Now, this is a topic that merits an entire video, which it probably will get eventually. Closer to Bash at the Beach. Bash at the Beach is directly an example of what CodyRhodes said they're not going to do. It is more important than that, a CodyRhodes example contradicting what CodyRhodes said he wasn't going to do, which is counter-programming, motherfuckers. That's what this is. This is basically, look, we have zero identity whatsoever. We have zero identity. AEW is just another wrestling company. There's nothing special about them. Think about it. Every wrestling company has had an identity at some point, right? WWE was like the family-friendly, everyone watched WWE thing. Then ECW came, and their identity was their hardcore and explicit, right? WCW kind of started, in my opinion, really the attitude era of wrestling, right? Things started changing in WCW. They started creating more edgy programming, catering to adults, which drew a lot of people in. Then WWE changed into attitude, right? Raw is War became the #1 show during the attitude era, right? Because they understood that things had to change. They needed an identity. Their old identity wasn't working. They needed a new identity. TNA, their identity was, we are the new alternative. Now that WCW has fallen, we are the new alternative. Their format was completely different. They had weekly pay-per-views for like $5 or whatever, right? They had that. They had the 6-sided ring, the X division, and wrestlers that never got a chance. Like young guys that were not good enough for WWE, but that were good enough for TNA. And some of these guys turned out to be incredible stars, like AJ Styles, motherfuckers. So he's kind of the only one, but you understand what I'm saying. Or at least the biggest one. Now, taking all that into account, right? What is, or also let's talk about like, let's say CZW, right? Their thing is, our identity is we do hardcore death matches. Chikara or whatever, their identity is we do goofy shit with cartoonish characters. ROH is, their entire shtick is, oh, ours is about like pure wrestling, which is kind of whack, but that's what it is, right? New Japan, their identity is they're the company of Japan. They don't compete directly with any of these companies. AEW's identity is we are pretend WCW. We are the extension, the successor of WCW, so much that they steal names like Bash at the Beach, which is a copyright owned by Vince McMahon. It's owned by WWE now, if they copyrighted it, if they're smart. So WWE is going to hit him with a cease and desist immediately, and they're going to have to call it something else, hopefully, right? But the fact that they're trying to do this is directly counter-programming. That's what they said they wouldn't do, right? WWE creates Starrcade, which was created by Dusty Rhodes. They own the rights to that shit, so they do it if they feel like it. CodyRhodes, once that's announced, they're like, oh, Bash at the Beach, Dusty Rhodes did this too. All right, we get it. You're Dusty's son. Even Cody has no identity. Cody's identity is he's Dusty's son and a pretend Triple H and a wannabe Ric Flair, while also pretending to be a little bit of Vince. And he is inferior to all of those people in every capacity. So that's what I got to say about that. And the fans, they plan on paying $60 for what amounts to copyright infringement, in my opinion, if they've trademarked it. Or I suppose that would be trademark infringement. Now, let's move forward to reason number 13. These fans refuse to accept that AEW has no direction. They are doing this on a week-to-week basis. If I guarantee there isn't one AEW executive that has any idea what's going to happen after after Jericho versus Dean Ambrose. No one knows. No one knows. No one cares. They're playing this by ear because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. This is a company run by complete incompetence. The idea that Tony Khan, by virtue of being a fan, knows anything about wrestling is ridiculous. If you look at Billy Corgan, is that his name? Billy Corgan, whatever, the NWA guy from Smashing Pumpkins, right? This guy actually understands wrestling. This guy comes up with good angles. Like he came up with Decay and TNA and other things like that, where we're like, okay, like this guy gets what makes wrestling special. Tony Khan doesn't. He thinks that wrestling is fun because people like Joey Janela have matches with Dean Ambrose 7 times in 2 months. No, fam, that's not what makes wrestling fun. Next, AEW fans, reason 14, hate Raw and SmackDown, but for some reason, they love NXT. I don't understand this. I guess the philosophy is anything that Vince doesn't do is good, and anything that Vince does is crap, which is ridiculous. Vince McMahon, I'm going to leave this for later because this is the ultimate reason, and I left it for last, motherfuckers. But this idea that NXT is better because it's more indie and more jobberish, because they know that there are people in NXT that will never make it in WWE. People that have embraced this role, like Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. Tommaso Ciampa doesn't want to leave NXT. Why? Because he knows that in WWE, he's going to have a 6-month push and then be relegated to a maximum level of Cesaro. That's the highest he'll ever go is Cesaro. If Cesaro couldn't do it, Ciampa's not doing it, motherfuckers. Guaranteed. So he understands and he's like, I'll stay in NXT where I'm a big shot. You know, whatever, right? Who cares? Now, reason number, 15. They think, the AEW fans think, they are better fans than casuals. This is a big problem. In a lot of different realms of entertainment, the hardcore fans think they're better than the casuals. Well, I got news for you, pal. You're not better than the casuals. You might not be worse, but you sure as shit aren't better. I'm a casual fan of the NBA and the NFL. And I like the Patriots, and I have since like before they were good, right? But I have absolutely no problem betraying my trust for the Patriots, my love for the Patriots, which is not that high, to cheer for a team like, I don't know, Kansas City, who was doing well this year. I pick and choose how I want because I'm a casual and I don't have to be held down by these ridiculous rules of the hardcore fan. And AEW fans think that they're the hardcore fans, and a lot of them are, to be fair, and they think that they're better than a guy who likes, I don't know, like if someone likes John Cena. I remember when I was a kid, I went to see a WWE pay-per-view. John Cena was still over at the time. He was like a heel, and he was doing like the rap gimmick. And I was a kid, I was like a teenager, like a young teenager, maybe 13 or something, right? I don't know. And I was really excited because I really liked Cena. And I remember like I was there by myself because like my parents don't like wrestling. My mom sure shit doesn't like wrestling, I'll tell you that. And none of my friends liked wrestling when I was a kid. So I went there. I had my little jersey on. I was excited. I think I had a sign probably. I was a kid, And I go there. I'm cheering John Cena. I forget who was wrestling. I think like Kurt Angle or something, but whatever. I'm cheering John Cena, right? And there's these 5 dudes. But at this time, the word neckbeard didn't exist. But these 5 guys who were like hardcore fans were like, Angle is the technical wrestler since like, Dean Malenko or whatever, right? And I didn't understand that these guys were losers because I was a little kid and I was like, oh, they're older than me. They probably understand a few more things than me. I didn't realize they were all morons, right? So I remember, I'll never forget this because I think Cena won the match or something happened where I was excited, right? And I was like, yeah, right. I was like 13. And this one kid, this one grown man, must have been like in his late 20s, he flipped me off, right? We were like a few seats away. He flipped me off. I didn't care because I understood. Like we were talking the whole night. They were friendly. They weren't like bad dudes, right? But he flipped me off. And now I think about it, I'm like, I would never flip a 13-year-old off. Because I'm a grown man now, motherfuckers. But that guy probably wasn't a grown man. He was probably some man-child who probably was a virgin. It is what it is, right? So it's kind of like if anyone here that's like over 25 probably knows what it's like to, let's say you're smoking a cigarette or you're hanging out near a 7-Eleven or something, right? And some kid comes to you and says, excuse me, can you buy me a pack of cigarettes? I always say no because I would want to be responsible for a kid starting to smoke, or continuing to smoke. But when I was a kid and I was trying to get adults to buy me cigarettes, I always thought, man, what a bunch of assholes these guys are who won't buy me cigarettes, But things change, motherfuckers. Except for AEW fans like the guy that I just mentioned who's now definitely an AEW fan, right? The problem is that these AEW fans, right, they do not understand that we're all fans. You can like something as much or as little as you want. And when you have these fat beards gatekeeping, being like, well, you're not a real wrestling fan if you didn't watch Kushida versus Hiromu Tanakashi in Wrestle Kingdom 12 when they stole the show. Yes, I am, motherfuckers. You know what? I am just as much a fan of you as you if I just watch Raw. You're not a better fan than anybody. You're not better than anybody because you like something more. That's insane. That's retarded. So that's probably one of the main reasons why I hate the AEW fans, motherfuckers. Next, reason 16. They defend the existence of Butcher and Blade, despite the fact that we know nothing about these guys, and they're being presented as they're supposed to be some sort of interesting deal. They're not. They suck. Reason number 17. They pretend that Neville is a star. Enough said. Reason 18. They pretend that Tyedillenger is a star. Even more said. Tyedillenger gets us an entrance where he sits in a chair and the lights come on, as if he's like some big deal. He's a complete jobber. This guy's entrance should be, he comes out, turns around and leaves and gets fired. That should be his entrance. Reason 19. I don't know where we were. Reason 20, right? This phrase, they're not doing reactionary booking, guys. AEW's better than that. That phrase right there, motherfuckers. That whole Adam Cole's weird looking wife, Britt Baker, they had her do the oh my god thing, in NXT. And then they had her do the same thing in friggin', what's it called? In AEW. Oh, it's not reactionary because it's not booking. It is reactionary, motherfuckers. It's not booking, obviously, but it is part of the story. It is part of the narrative. Nyla Rose is a beast, and Britt Baker, just like every other woman wrestler, is scared. And this was just basically haha, aren't we clever? No, you're not clever. Because Britt Baker is one of your, she's positioned to be the only star they're going to have in the women's division. Whereas in WWE, she's positioned as someone that's not good enough to be there. They had 17 women on that show. They had women like Dakota Kai on the show. And someone like Britt Baker just pretty much isn't good enough. She's good enough to be on the crowds. right? So all they've done is bury themselves. But it is what it is. That was reason what? 19, I think? Whatever. Reason 20. We'll just continue reason 20. Reason 20. All AEW fans smell horrible, motherfuckers. They all do not bathe. I can just tell by looking at them. It's these guys with their jowls. They all look like the victim of the Dark Order and the Dark Order vignettes. That's reason 20. Reason 21. AEW fans listen and probably jack off to DaveMeltzer, who understands absolutely nothing about wrestling. I see this video is running a little long, so let's cut to it. Reason 22. They like boring wrestlers that are not in TNA, but are considered fantastic, underrated wrestlers. People like Dean Malenko, right? That's the best example. Dean Malenko. Psychosis never became WWE champion. Oh, I wish Nunzio became champion. Bob Backlund is better than Cena. Shut up, nerds. Number 23, my personal favorite. They pretend that they are lapsed fans. How many times do I have to go on YouTube and see someone being like, I was a lapsed fan. I haven't watched wrestling in 15 years. Yes, you have, motherfuckers. If you did not watch wrestling last year, there is a 0% chance you're watching AEW. Why the fuck would you? If you haven't watched wrestling in 15 years, what drew you into AEW? Was it that CodyRhodes, that guy you wouldn't know if you didn't watch wrestling for 15 years, is now starting a company? Or KennyOmega, or what? What is it? What's the draw? Bullshit. I call bullshit on that one. And here they are, the two ultimate reasons that are kind of one reason, but I've split it into two. They think Vince McMahon is out of touch, and they think that they are the ones who are not out of touch. When in fact, it's the opposite, motherfuckers. Vince McMahon is a great businessman, one of the greatest businessmen in modern history, by far. This guy understands the business that he invented, basically, better than some neckbeard who started watching wrestling when Daniel Bryan became champion. Trust me. Believe that, motherfuckers. Believe that. Some more. You know what I'm saying? So, this is a problem that I have with these fans, and it's the most significant problem I have. Because, aside from the ridiculous implications that some fan or an idiot like Tony Khan or CodyRhodes understand the business better than Vince McMahon, just the absurdity of that alone should be enough. The real problem with this is this idea that they are the ones that are not out of touch, right? So Vince McMahon not catering to them is evidence of Vince McMahon being out of touch. Now just think about how arrogant, entitled, and insane that is. Just think about it. It will be the equivalent of me starting to learn the piano tomorrow and being like Beethoven. He didn't understand the piano. Me, I'm the guy that understands the piano. And it wouldn't even be like that because Beethoven didn't invent the piano. He didn't make it popular. Whereas Vince McMahon basically invented wrestling and made it popular. So the real crux of the matter here is that they think that everything that Vince does isn't good, but simply by virtue of Vince does it. They don't understand that businesses change, and the company is not there to make you happy. The company is there to take your money, and they're doing a very good job of doing that. They're achieving those goals. AEW, who is catering to you, is 1 foot in the grave, motherfuckers. So think about that when you tell me that Vince McMahon is out of touch. Oh, Vince should hand the company to Triple H. Why? Why should he do it? For what reason? What really has Triple H done from a booking perspective that's been so great? It's just the format of the show is different. It's more wrestling intensive, right? It's shorter shows. For the longest time, it was 1 hour, right? It's shorter shows with wrestlers that are hungry, that want to make it to Raw. That's all it is. Triple H is not his creative mastermind. What has he brought to the table? Nothing. Nothing, really. I mean, do you think Vince McMahon is not involved in the signing of people like Keith Lee or the signing of Dominik Dijakovic or Tommaso Ciampa, if that's your cup of tea, if you will? Of course he is, motherfuckers. Vince McMahon, people are like, oh, I can't wait till he dies. He's only like 72 or 73 or 74 or some shit like that. He is a thoroughbred, motherfuckers. I'm going to Google to see how old he is. He is a thoroughbred. Vince is going nowhere. So, in summation, The real problem with the AEW fan is, I mean, 74. There's a lot of problems, but the main problem, the most important problem is this last one. That they have this idea that Vince McMahon, because he doesn't do what he used to do, like, do you think Vince McMahon doesn't want to go on TV and pull down his pants and have people kiss his ass? That's what the real person behind Vince McMahon is. That's what he is, motherfuckers. He's like a trailer park guy who made it big because he's smart and hardworking. You don't think he wants to go out there and make people kiss his ass? Of course he does. But he doesn't do it because he understands that the company now has to be family friendly. They have the Attitude Era and the time when wrestling was great, like objectively great, was necessary to defeat WCW. As soon as that happened, the wheels started turning. They started thinking to themselves, now that we have no competition, how can we capitalize on the fact that we are essentially a monopoly? And how can we capitalize on it fast? So what do? They created the brand split, right? To make it interesting again, to at least to a degree. They doubled nearly the amount of pay-per-views they started doing. Why? Because the logic says that if a fan was buying a WCW pay-per-view and a WWE pay-per-view, they were spending twice the money, right? So now they have twice the money to spend, and they're not spending on anything. So let's double the pay-per-views. Now, of course, this is not for casual fans. This is for people that really like pay-per-views, right? And there's a lot of them. They made a lot of money doing that too. Then what do? They created the arguably the greatest star in the history of wrestling, John Cena. The guy that has sold probably more merchandise than anyone ever in wrestling. They created him and they branded him as what he is today. The family-friendly guy who grants wishes for sick kids. This is a branding exercise, motherfuckers. This is all from Vince McMahon's dome piece. Then, the cherry on top. They took everything they had. They leveraged the fact that they bought WCW and they digitized their entire library. And since it was just sitting there, they spent a few $1 million to create a platform that now is generating they have 2 million subscribers. 2 million times 10. That's $20 million a month that the WWE network is generating. That's like $120 million a year? Or $240 million a year? $240 million a year that is generating at a relatively low cost to upkeep. And that's discounting the fact that it's also generating revenue in other ways, like continuously pushing their merchandise to the WWE network, right? Just creating a scenario where you just want to watch and watch and watch. Like, they're including things like the Stone Cold podcast. They are monopolizing wrestling, and they are monopolizing, or they're trying to slowly monopolize other entertainment industries, or at least grab a significant foothold in them. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's the key here. And people don't understand that. They're like, oh, he's out of touch because I don't see S.A. Rios anymore, so he's out of touch. CodyRhodes gets it. They're drawing like 20 people. Oh, but they beat just think about the argument. They beat NXT in the key demographic, which of course means they couldn't beat NXT, period. And they sure as shit have no chance of beating Raw or SmackDown. If AEW was on Monday nights, no one would watch. It's as simple as that, motherfuckers. So that being said, this video has gone a little too long, a little longer than I thought. So I will leave you guys with this. AEW fans can kiss my ass. You understand what I'm saying? Tomorrow, look forward to the Raw review and maybe some updates on whether or not I'm doing a Q&A. Now, if anybody has any ideas as to whether I should or should not do a Q&A, feel free to put it in the comments. And also another thing, from this point forward, every time I get a new subscriber or someone comments and says, I'm a new subscriber, because here's the key, motherfuckers. When you subscribe, sometimes I don't see who it is. It doesn't show up in my notifications. But if someone comments and says, I am a new subscriber, you will get a shout out in the next video from the hater. Now, if of course we're talking about 30 subscribers, I'm going to just make something more general. But if there's like 4 or 5 of you, new ones, let's say, I will talk to you all personally and respond to your comment verbally. So please subscribe today and hit that bell icon, as they always tell us, motherfuckers. All right. Good night. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for that Raw review. Hopefully it's good, motherfuckers.